So I finished this part here. I've moved on to the two pieces there. I've done a running stitch around and some French knots. And here I'm just about to sew this one down. You can see that I've come through to the other side all the way along as well, and I've just pinned that down there for now. And this is going on here like that. So before I pin that down, so there's lots of stages that you need to think about before putting everything on. Like, I wanted to sew those two down, but I didn't want it to come through that. So that means that that's on the wadding. You've got this piece here. I don't want that on the wadding, the blue as well. So I've got to sew that down through the wadding so it gets hidden. So it's just all about thinking about the way you want to design your needle book or your needle case, or this could be a good way of making a horsewhip. If you're not familiar with it, Sally from Dotty Bee made one. I've made one on my channel. I think that might have been the first video I made 2 years ago. You can go and check that out, and lots of people have made horsewhips. You just got to put it in this search engine and you'll see lots of other people doing it. Right, so now I've got to find out. Now I'm really trying to work from my tangles, which is basically a big nest of threads. Not quite the right colour, but I think that will do. So all you've got to do is just get your tangles out. Saves you going into your cupboard and getting your box out. And then I put decent size pieces of thread in there. If it's only that much, I just get rid of it. I'm not keeping that size because it's too hard to put it on the needle. And sometimes when you use a big needle, you need a decent amount of thread. So let's get a pin in there gently, because you don't want to scratch the surface of this because it's like silky type feeling. And of course my needles come out. And I'm just going to go around basic stitches on this. I'm not doing anything hard as a running stitch. So all I've used is running stitch on these and French knots. Someone's being a little bit mean. Don't be mean, Caesar. So when you're making a needle book, you sometimes can get stuck of what to do. Well, that actually comes with, not with you, that comes to you when you're starting to plan a base or a foundation for the fabrics that you've got or you've chosen. And just go and get a collection of buttons, thread, not threads. Well, you do need threads actually. And I'm trying to mix it up with different threads. Buttons, trims, lace, fabric. Just get your scrap fabric as well. This is great scrap buster fabric. What else? Trims. Yeah, that's what I think that's all. Lace. If there's anything else I've missed, I'm sure you'll be able to think about that. Yeah, buttons, lace, trims, fabric, rick-rack. Just keep turning your work around. Don't pull too tight. can make any size you want. I've made a little itty bitty needle book. I'll get it out. No, actually I can't get it out, but I can show you one that I purchased when I was in the UK with Sally at an antique shop down the road from her. This thread keeps wanting to come out. Very annoying. Yep, there it goes again. Right, where are we up to? Somewhere here. It doesn't matter if you go past where you started. I think that's about it. So that's all I'm going to do there. I'm not going to do anything in the middle. Just give it a couple of little sewing knots underneath. And I'm not going to keep that tiny bit of thread. That will just go in the bin. If it's cotton, it can also be put in the compost. All right, so that's that done. And now I've got this one. Now I'm not sure if I want to do the same the way I did it round the square. I don't know yet. And I've left off the ends so they can just fold over and become something when I put the other base, the lining inside. Now I did measure my wool and it just fits in, so I'm happy, because I thought maybe I made it too short there because it doesn't meet. I'm trying to think what I want to do here. That is nice, but it's too dark. What about that one there? I don't think I've got any of the other thread that I had left over. This is a oh, I've got the name at the end of my tongue. Egyptian cotton, maybe. Yeah, I can't really find anything else. So, you know what? I'm here to use up my stash, my threads, and it's still purple, and I have a knot in it already. So let me see what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up here first. Now we could do a decorative stitch around, but I feel like I'm just going to keep it the same, because if this is new to you, it won't be so daunting either. And running stitch is just the simplest stitch that you can do. Sometimes it gets a bit tight. Oh, sorry, I bumped the iPad with my glasses. Just having a cup of tea. Hope you've got a cup of tea. Or a coffee. Or if you're watching this at night time, you could even have a wine. Now what did I do there? I just sewed right down to the edge along the... So I'll just go down a little way, then I'll go off camera and come back. Sometimes I find this part a bit of the boring part. I like it when I start embellishing the item that I'm working on. Because it could be any item. It could be a pouch, it could be a bag, it could be a needlebook, it could be a hoosewif, it could be a hat. You know, you could make a slow stitch hat Wouldn't that be cool? Now my stitches are big, my stitches are little. I don't want to think about getting exact stitches in. I just want to stitch. I think it makes it a bit fun to not have it all so perfectly even, perfectly stitched. If I did that, I'd actually never get anything done. Right, I'm going to have that over the top. So we'll move that out the way. Oh, these needles are very sharp and they definitely hurt. There's a little tiny nick. I just did that on my finger. I should wear leather gloves so I won't hurt myself so much. Last thing I want is my blood on here. Right, I'll just stop here and then I'll be back with some of it finished and then we'll go on to the next process. Now to get rid of the thread, I thought about doing some French knots in the middle of the flowers since it was so close. So I think I've wound around about 4 on my knot, on my needle I mean. I want them a bit big, sticking up off my piece. So I like to do 3 little French knots. Then I like to stick it into my mat and then it pulls off. I don't know, I've just started learning to do that and it makes the French knot sit down better because I don't know what it does. I just don't know. I'm going around backwards because I want to come down. So I just lift it up like that. Hold the other bit with my finger so it holds it a bit tight. Stick it back down, pull my thread up, pull my fabric up to the needle. And you can still see that one has still stayed in there. So, and it makes a really nice knot. Whereas that one, they're not as nice as this one here. Maybe because I did 3 actually and not 4. And that one I forgot to stain the mat. So yes, 3 is better. 4 is a little bit chunky, but that's okay. So I'm going to go over here. And I'm just going to do a little bit of seed stitching, which is tiny little running stitch. Only because I want to use up this thread. And I might as well just keep going, get some creative ideas going, and don't sew your thread to the other fabric. Oh, somebody's got a gurgly tummy. It wasn't me. So let's just do one more little seed stitch. And then I will leave it here and I'll be back. I finished off the stitching here. Did some more seed stitch. French knot seed stitch. And then I went round in the pink and finished off the thread with some French knots. So that's a good way of trying to finish off your thread. Just do a bunch of thread knots. Now I think I'm going to put some buttons on here. So I think I'm going to put one there. And I found that lovely pink one. So just go in to your stash of embellishments, which could be a little bit of lace, some leftover fabric, trims. I even got some felt there, buttons, hexagons, some doilies. There's another pink button there I could use. There's a lovely little antique old button there. That was gifted me the other day, but that's too big and chunky. You could even put extra fabric on over the top. There's a bit of Liberty, which could go in the corner if I thought about it. So I could, potentially I could fold all the squares over and use my iron, and I could sew that down. So I might do that there. And I'd probably need another little button. Here you could put in these blank spaces, you could leave it, or you could embellish it with a hexagon or a Suffolk puff. So this one's quite nice, but I actually quite like the back. So I'm thinking I might put the Suffolk puff there, and maybe that there to complement that pink. Or just go through, and if you wanted to, you could tie a bow. I don't know how they do those bows. Something like this, I think. So they come together somehow. I do know what it is. I'm just all thumb and fingers at the moment. You don't actually tie the bow, you sort of go up in a loop, I think. Maybe my memory is wrong, and then you just sort of twist them over, and you could make a little bow there and tie that off. You could put a little bow just in there like that, but I'm not sure whether that will go there because I'm going to do the 3 folding overs of my needle book. And then over here I just lost all the little baby buttons. I'm in this space here, I left it because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I've got a lovely little white flower, and then I found these itty bitty buttons. There is another one floating around here somewhere. There's supposed to be 4 of them, and I don't know where the other one disappeared. So I'm going to put those on there. Now I've lost 3. I've only got 2. Oh, there. The other one is here somewhere. There's my needle. So yes, you've got sequins here. You've got lovely little sequins in there. I've kept them in there so that I don't get lost. You've got a cute little house, but I don't think it's in the right position for this. Maybe I might put it on because it's the right colours. It could go on the front like that, couldn't it? So lots of, you could even put a press stud on there and then attach something to that, and maybe it's another little, you could attach a, oh look, I've just thought of something. You could make yourself a pin cushion and you could attach that on there. On the when you fold it up, and that could be your pin cushion on the outside. I like that idea. That's what, yeah. See what I mean is that sort of all these ideas just come flooding in. Bit of doily, not this right colour, but you know, a bit of doily just to fill in those spaces. So I'll be back with a little bit more. Oh, I forgot to show you the house. There's the little house there. All right. So what have I been doing? I have been stitching down some more stuff. I've been shopping basically in my own craft room, finding some items that I didn't realise I had because I was looking for something else, which is the fun thing of doing it. And I've sewed down some buttons here. This beautiful little button there, it doesn't sort of go, but you know what, I like it. So I'm getting the feeling like when I'm making something, if that looks good. So I've done the house. I've put the little house. I found a little house, so I put that on, some buttons, and what else did I do? Yeah, it takes ages. So I'm up to Yeah, so you've got to think about your composition when you're stitching all this down, because once you sew all the other stuff here, you can sew it under the wadding, but I sometimes prefer to, get it all sewn down under there. I have a feeling I might go back and put something else in. I'm not sure about these two. I think this swamps the whole thing now because I've got those. It's too big. And I'm not sure about the colour of that. I think this has enough, possibly. Or I could just come back in. Yeah, I don't know. Or I could put some beads in there. So we'll turn it over. And now it's for the other side, which is this here. I think I still might trim that off a little bit. And that, only the tiniest bit, because I want it to sit. That wasn't straight. Yeah, there's that. I want it to sit within the, that's better, within that, you can't see, within that sort of line where the other bit of fabric's going to. Sometimes I can cut straight and sometimes I can't. So that's going to get sewn down there, even though that's puckering up. I don't want it to iron it because it's wool. I'm going to have to be careful not to go through to the other side when I sew that down. And so now, all that can go over there. It's time to put this on. Now what happened here is, this has gone a bit tight. So I will pull it. Oh, I've just broken it. That's okay. We'll pull it. Up. And I will fix it again. What did I have? I'm not worried that, I've accidentally broken it, because I'm going to fix it with something else. It's a shame. Oh, I might have a little bit left of that cotton. Maybe not. Oh, I don't think I've got anything left of that. Though I do have some in my, I was trying to use up all my stash. I don't think it's here. This has a big knot in it already. Right, let me just see what thread that goes to. Oh no, it is a continuation of that. I thought it might have been this here. Oh no, it is. So that's under there. No, I can't do that because it's got the French knots, and now I've hidden the French knots under there. Okay, let's just cut that. It's not going anywhere. I have finished sewing the inside of the two. I decided to turn them into little pockets. So I sewed the white part, then turned in the edges, sewed the velvet strip down, and then I sewed around here. So now I'm just about to sew on these edges here. And that's what my thing looks like, and one's a bit longer than the other, but that's all right. I thought I measured it. Sometimes it looks all right there. It might be a bit wider here, but sometimes, you know, when you do a lot of stitching, it shrinks it a little bit. Anyway, maybe I didn't fold it over enough here. That's probably what it was. I think that's just a tad high where the stitches are, but I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm happy with it so far, and then I'll show you the finished result. To show you the results of my needle books, and I'll show you now. So this is the first one I made, and this was just already originally like this, and all I had to do was I just put it in a piece of fabric that I had left over, and then all I did was put in my, I've got to iron that off, so I'll turn the iron on. I just got some felt which I had left over from a Christmas craft. I was just trying to get that undone, and I just sewed right through to the other side. And now these are your blank pages. I just call them pages, all right? But this also could be, if you didn't want this to be a needle book, or you could have a few pages in the back for your needles. But I wanted to put my hexies in there. Now I'm doing the Create and Craft with Christine, and the other day they was all on my quilt and they were all getting crushed, and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with these? I want to put them in something to keep them there. So I came up with this idea. I thought maybe they might stay on there by themselves, which they probably do a little bit. You know how fabric sometimes sticks to itself with the felt, but it didn't really do that. So you probably need to do pin it to keep them in there. So I've got all my little pieces. I'm going to do this one next. So this is my colourway that I'm going to do, and I thought about something then, and I just came to my mind. I was thinking that I've got my hexagons on there. I could make a little pocket to put the thread in at the back of them, because there's heaps of pages. You could do that occasionally. You could have a little pocket with some doilies, which I have. So these are my pockets, my embroideries and my doilies ready to go. And then at the back, I have actually made a little pocket. So if I wanted to, I can find where that is. It could either be a bin, or you could tuck your thread in there that you want to use, so you're not going to lose it. I don't even know if it will fit a normal thread in there. It could, but it'd be a little bit bulky. I probably wouldn't do it that big. I don't have any of those threads at the moment. You know, the square where you put your wind your threads on. I don't have any here at the moment, but I'm sure one would fit in there. Not sure what you could do for the inside of the Suffolk puff. You could put a little bit of wadding in there and still put pins in there if you wanted to, and then you just close it over. And I haven't put a clasp on there or something to close it over. So that was my first needle book. So like 2 needle books in one. Here's my second needle book. And I made this myself, this bit here. I just got my orts jar, or you don't have to do your orts jar, and I just got like the full thread of embroidery floss. I don't know where the other one might be. Oh, there's maybe this blue one. Blue one might not work because it's not the 6 strands, but maybe this type of embroidery floss. Oh, there's 2 blue ones. And all I did was I tied them together. I'll see if I can do that again. Will that green one work? I won't do it too tight. Oh, that looks really nice, that colour. And then my tummy's grumbling. I'm sorry if you can hear that. And I'm not hungry. I put a pin in there on the tabletop. Can you see that? Yep, I'm pretty sure you can. And then I just plaited it. So you've got to be careful you don't go too fast. But then you've got to make sure that you pull up as you're doing it. It is a little bit time consuming because if you do it too fast and you have big space, like you don't pull it up, you're going to have the plait sort of in a very long colourway, and you won't have it as tight as that, see? I think I mucked it up a little bit, but see, that's probably the best result down along there. So by doing the pulling up slightly as you're going, just give a bit of a pull. There we go. That one might not have worked. It's just trial and error to get the plait right. Now I don't know which way I'm going. I think I missed that out. So I'm just crisscrossing them over like a normal plait, and then you just sort of pull it up slightly. Maybe, I think because I'm too far away, I need it to be closer to my body. I don't know if you can see that. And the pin anchors it down. Yep. And then you just plait away. You just got to do it slowly, and don't forget to pull up. All right, so that's how I did that. Sometimes it works straight away, other times it's just trial and error. And then I put a button at the back, which is a little flower button, and then I threaded these 2 through the flower button, and I also tied a knot at the end, and I've just left the little fluffies. I found a lovely bow in Sally's box, so I put that on. And then I think I showed you all these. I didn't want to put too much on, and then also this can become a little pouch if you wanted it to. But my house will be sideways, and so will my love hearts. There's 2 little love hearts there. So you could do it so you don't have that in that direction, and then it could still turn into a pouch, but you've got the side seams open. But I haven't figured out what I'm going to do for that there if I want it to turn into a pouch and not a needle book. So I'm sure something will come along. So I put 2 press studs there and there. These are these ones, little ones, but then I realised I did have some silver ones, so I might change them over to silver. There's the long piece of wool that I just did cross stitches, and no, they're not perfect, and I just did them any old how. I wasn't worried, and I just did a whip stitch along here. I could do probably with some more whip stitches along there. There's 2 little pockets, one here with velvet and another here with velvet. I was going to stitch them down, but then I decided to turn them into pockets. Lots of wool to put your pins in, right? And then this here, again, I put a Suffolk puffin, goes with the colours, the yellow, the blue, and the pink. And then this could be something you could put your cotton in, or your thread, or it could be a little bin for your threads as well. So that was my idea. And then I had this in my stash I bought from one of the Instagram people, and I decided to put one of these. So what I could do is, if I wanted to put my pins somewhere and I didn't want to put them in here, or if, you know, it's just an idea, I could just do it like that, or I could just take that off and take that with me and sit where I'm, and put them in where I'm sitting. So that was just a fun idea. Whether it works pretty good or not, I don't know, because I haven't used it yet. And then also I've got this beautiful little pink girl slash needle book, and maybe that's the way you want to have yours, and you can do something else different here. So what I will do is I will trace this needle book off and put it up on my Facebook group, Sewbits-Kristy, and you're welcome to get a free pattern. You'll have to do your own design, and I'll give the instructions on how to put it together. It won't be that difficult. As you can see here, you just flip that up, and there we have two little flaps of felt, and then one at the back. But this is two-sided, this side and that side. Yeah, so hopefully I can write up instructions for that, and there you are. Isn't she lovely? All right, so, and then, you know, you can still use that, tuck that away, fold this over. Even if you wanted to keep that in there for some reason or another, you don't have to fold it over. You fold over the keeper, and then the front, and then you put your little clasp on with the thread. Now I've left it bulky because if you put stuff in there, you've got room for it to move. So that is my so that is my beginner's project for a needle book. I'll just put my orts away, and don't forget to use your orts for this type of project. Like I said, this is I think this is a beginner friendly. This one might be a little bit more advanced, but certainly this one is definitely a beginner friendly. This one I made to show you how you could make your own piece of quilting piece, because it's lovely when it's a little bit quilted. And so that's all that was about, and just to have fun and decorate it. So I want to thank you very much for watching my video. Like and subscribe, share the video if you want to, and I hope to hear from you in the comments. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.